What's up, guys? Radio Geek here, and with the GTA 6 trailer officially out, I got to thinking about the earlier games in the series. When the topic of Grand Theft Auto comes up, people still talk about the 3D era of games. That's 3 and Vice City and San Andreas, as well as Vice City Stories and Liberty City Stories. And of course, they also obviously still talk about 4 and 5, the HD era of the series. And sometimes they'll talk about the handheld ones, the Chinatown Wars and the Grand Theft Auto Advance for what that's worth. But you barely hear anybody talk about the original games in the series, the classics. Grand Theft Auto 1, its 2 expansion packs, London 1969 and 1961, and Grand Theft Auto 2. And so I thought it'd be fun to go back to each of those games and talk about them a little bit. So let's get into it. First up, let's talk about Grand Theft Auto 1. Developed by DMA Design, which would later go on to become Rockstar North, and published by BMG Interactive, released for PC and PlayStation in 1997, with a Game Boy port in 1999. I've never played the Game Boy port, and I've only played the PlayStation 1 port briefly, but I do have a copy of the Grand Theft Auto Classic Collection on PC, which has GTA 1, London 1969, and GTA 2. So I installed it on my Pentium 3 Windows 98 PC to capture most of the footage. When you start GTA 1, you can select from a number of different characters, none of which have any bearing on the game whatsoever. You can also enter your name for scorekeeping purposes, and this is how you enter cheats as well if you want to do that. Once you've picked a character and put in a name, you can select a chapter. There are 6 chapters in total, with the first 2 taking place in Liberty City, the second 2 taking place in San Andreas, and the final 2 taking place in Vice City. Each city has its own unique style and look to it, which I do like. Across each area, you'll come across crates you can break to get weapons, armor, speed power-ups, police bribes, and so on and so forth. Getting into a car will play the game's music, and the game's music is pretty awesome. This was before the days of multiple radio stations with all licensed music, but I really enjoyed what they did with the music in this one. It's very good. Your main objective in each chapter is to reach a certain score, which you can see by pausing the game. Once you reach that score, you'll be told to go to a certain spot on the map, go there, and a cutscene will play, and you'll get to move on to the next chapter. You can raise your score by doing pretty much anything, from stealing cars, hitting other cars, running over pedestrians, etc. But the most effective way to get points is by doing missions. Missions usually involve answering a payphone and completing a series of objectives, like taking a car from point A to point B, or picking somebody up and dropping them off somewhere else. There are some missions where you'll have to take a car or truck rigged with a bomb to either blow up a place or get the bomb defused, and if the vehicle takes too much damage... After you complete one objective in a mission, you'll usually have a very limited amount of time to either find the next payphone to do the next objective in the mission. If you miss that payphone, it's mission failed. And if you fail a mission for any reason, there's no way to retry that particular mission without restarting the chapter from the very beginning. That sucks. This is one of the more frustrating aspects of the game. There's no real way to save. There is, but there also isn't. You can only save by finishing a chapter. So if you quit the game before the end of the chapter, or if you lose all your lives... Yeah, these games actually come with a limited life system for some reason. Then you'll have to start the chapter completely over. Thankfully, getting wasted doesn't automatically fail the mission you're on. You'll just lose your weapons and respawn at the nearest hospital. Getting busted, on the other hand, will not only fail your mission, but make you lose your weapons and reset your score multiplier. More on that in a bit. If you have a get-out-of-jail-free card, you'll just respawn at the nearest police station with all your weapons and your multiplier intact. Each mission you complete in succession will increase your score multiplier by 1, and the higher your multiplier, the more points you get. So you want to keep that high if you want any chance of finishing a chapter. If you do have a wanted level, you can hope to find a police bribe in a crate, or drive around aimlessly until you've managed to find an auto shop to get rid of it. Failing that, your wanted level will usually reset to 0 if you complete a mission. Another way to do missions besides entering payphones is by finding specific cars around the map. Getting one will start the mission, and it's business as usual after that. The general locations of these cars is given to you by your pager, but it can be pretty tough to pay attention to both the pager and the game world, especially if you're on a timed mission. And unfortunately, there are more timed missions in this game than I care for, and most times it's a very tight time limit. Probably wouldn't be so bad if navigation was easier to manage, but getting around can be a real pain in the butt. There's an arrow that always points in the general direction you're supposed to go, but actually getting there is a different story, which is a shame because a lot of the vehicles in the game can be really fun to drive around in. Originally, the game came with a fold-out map, which you could theoretically use to help you navigate, but unfortunately my copy doesn't have that, and I can't imagine having to constantly reference a big fold-out map while playing would be a very good experience. If you aren't being timed and have some patience, you can take the train to get around the city, which can help you get closer to where you need to be, but that's only a small help. The first expansion pack, London 1969, was the first actual Grand Theft Auto game that had any Rockstar involvement, being developed by Rockstar Canada and Runecraft, and published by Rockstar Games in 1999. It too was available on PC and PlayStation, and you can immediately notice a difference in graphical style, but that's about where the differences end. Pretty much everything I've said about Grand Theft Auto 1 applies here. The world map is different, the characters and missions are new, as is the story, if you can call it that, but the overall gameplay remains unchanged. The second expansion pack, London 1961, also came out in 1999 and serves as a prequel of sorts to London 1969, involving many of the same characters. The expansion was ever only available on PC and for some reason isn't compatible with the Classic Collection version of GTA 1. But where there's a will, there's a way. Once again, gameplay remains unchanged, and there's not a whole lot here to talk about. Both these expansions are a fun time, but I really would just be repeating myself if I went into any more detail than that. And I'm not sure why 1961 wasn't included in the Classics collection, and I'm even more confused as to why it isn't even so much as compatible with it. If you have any insight there, let me know in the comments down below. And again, in 1999 for PC and PlayStation, Grand Theft Auto 2 was released onto the world, with Dreamcast and Game Boy Color ports coming in 2000. Again, developed by DMA Design and published by Rockstar Games. This one adds some noticeable graphical improvements and adds a respect system into the game. Each area of the game's city, called Anywhere City, has 3 gangs you can do missions for, increasing your respect for that particular gang, but potentially losing respect for a rival gang. It's a little bit like rock, paper, scissors. Gang A hates Gang B hates Gang C, and Gang C hates Gang A. Your main objective in each area is still to achieve a target score, and you do it pretty much the exact same way as the other games in the series, but the respect system does add some variety and challenge. GTA 2 does let you save your game at these churches, but it costs $50,000 to do it, and you have to find them first. The problem I have with that is, number one, you have to find them first, and number two, like I said, progressing works the same way as it does in the other games in the series, so you have to hit a target number. So spending the $50,000 sets you back a bit. There are also these GTA 2 tokens hidden all over the place you can pick up, sort of like a primitive version of GTA 3's hidden packages. If you find all of them in an area, you can unlock bonus stages. I never really went out on my way to find them all because I've never been too particularly big on collectible hunting, but if that's your sort of thing, then it really can add a lot to the game. All in all, these games really can be a lot of fun, but only if you have the patience for them. If you don't have the patience for them, they are an incredibly frustrating experience, especially if you're the kind of player who likes to be able to complete every single mission. And I think the biggest reason why that isn't the limited life system. It isn't the fact that your score multiplier gets reset when you get busted. It's the lack of a user-friendly save system. These games could have been so much better, in my opinion, if they would just allow for a better way to save your game. And now that I'm thinking about it, probably the best way to play these games today is with a PS1 emulator that allows for save states. And I think that's a big part of the reason why these games aren't talked about nearly as much when the topic of Grand Theft Auto comes up. People just don't have the patience for them, and really, that's perfectly fine. Anyway, let me know what you think about these games in the comments down below, and then click on one of these things. One of them is a subscribe button, the other one's a video you can watch. I have a few more videos I'm currently working on, and I'm going to try to upload more often, so be sure to click that button so you know when they come out. Anyway, as always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.